No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkirka Madiani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. You want love, but you're scared of it. Today, we are talking about cuffing season. We are in the thick of cuffing season, which is the perfect time to chat about this topic. I myself have spent a handful of cuffing seasons single, and I don't regret that. But I believe it's also equally important to speak to the craving of wanting someone during this time period. But before we get into all that, take some time right now to rate this podcast, Misunderstood, 5 stars. I spend a lot of time making sure that every single podcast episode is something worth listening to. I never want to apologize for wanting this podcast to reach more audiences. I think that's the point of any podcast, right? We have so many downloads on this podcast in less than a year, and that's really exciting. So people are consistently coming back and listening to more episodes. That makes me extremely proud and happy that I finally put this out into the world and it is being received very well. Something free and easy that you can do to support the continuation of this podcast is rating this show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Thank you so much. Also, before we dive into this episode, let us answer a Jotform question. I received my very first Jotform question. If you are curious on where to submit a question to be featured in an upcoming episode of Misunderstood, the link to write a question is always in the description of every single podcast episode. If you literally click on any and all podcast episodes that are live, and this is episode 46, so every single podcast episode has this link in the description of the podcast. So if you've ever wanted some solicited advice from someone who may have gone through what you are going through and could speak to helping in some way, definitely take some time to write a question and submit it, and I look forward to hearing from you. I do want to try to answer one every single episode. This is the first one that I received, but I do want to make that part of the episodes going forward, so I look forward to hearing from you. All right, let us read this first question. She said, "Hi NK, thanks for being so vulnerable on the internet. I'm sure it's not easy and it takes a lot of strength and confidence. I've really been enjoying the podcast episodes. I need some advice. I feel like a lot of my partner's jokes tend to be at my expense. Not all the jokes are mean-spirited. Some of them I have found even funny, but it started to bother me that a lot of his humor is based on me or directed at me. I don't know how to address this in a way that he knows I'm serious about wanting him to cut back. How can I let my partner know that his humor is seriously starting to chip away at my self-esteem and feelings?" Thank you for submitting this question and being a listener of the pod, and I'm so sorry to hear about the situation you're going through. All right, so I have a few thoughts. I'm first off curious about how long you've been dating and how long this specific situation of him acting this way has been going on. I think that helps to contextualize what's going on for me, regardless of the length of time. It is not okay that he makes you feel this way, of course. I also wish I had an exact quote joke that he told you, a specific example, just for reference, but what I will say is this is definitely a sit-down conversation with him. I'd say do it over dinner at home or something in a casual, comfy setting, definitely not in a public place. This allows you to feel more comfortable and probably make it less tense for him. I'd bring up how the specific jokes made you feel. This is really important. A lot of times when people confront somebody about something that's bothering them, I've done this before as well, their first mistake is directing blame to the other person, which instantly puts them on defense. Even when you're in the right, it still will put anyone in defense mode. So using I statements are the way to go. I feel this way from this comment. I would like to not feel this way. I want us to blank. Using I statements will go over way better than pointing the finger. Also, something I've done with any conversation I've ever had that was uncomfortable or hard or confrontational in any way, shape, or form, I've always written down talking points for myself. I tend to get very flustered in real life, and then I forget my very valid points that I wanted to express in the moment. And then right after the conversation ends, I am mad at myself because I forgot half of the things that I knew that were the heavy hitters of the conversation. Even if you don't read the list, You definitely don't have to. There's sometimes I have glanced over at my list while I'm speaking with somebody just to make sure that I got everything. So there's nothing wrong with that. But have it handy, have it ready so that you make sure that you say everything that you want to say, because everything that you say is valid, and do not let anyone invalidate you. Overall, I would hope that he would be receptive to the way you brought up the conversation in a really calm and mature fashion. And I really do hope that he stops making jokes at your expense. That is not okay. And if this type of behavior continues after the chat with him, I personally would say that the relationship itself needs to take a pause or end. Okay, that was fun to answer a question from you guys. And again, the jot form's always open, so always feel free to submit anything that you want advice on. Let's get into the crux of this episode. What we are talking about today is cuffing season and how that really impacts how we feel, especially right now. We are in November, and personally, I think that this is the peak of cuffing season. I took to the internet and I wanted to get the true definition of what cuffing season is. So let's start there. First off, how the internet defines cuffing season. Cuffing season refers to a period of time where single people begin looking for short-term partnerships to pass the colder months of the year. Cuffing season usually begins in October and lasts until just after Valentine's Day. And then here are some direct quotes from the same article. Quote, cuffing season is when people start to want to be tied down in a serious relationship. Cuffing season is the period between autumn and winter months where finding a boyfriend or girlfriend is suddenly a lot more appealing. It officially starts in September when the weather turns, but it's around now people are putting in a last-ditch effort to be paired up for the colder months if they haven't found a partner yet. I have a lot of feelings towards cuffing season because every single year I feel this discomfort around the season. A lot of things play into that. It is colder, it is darker. We are slowly losing our will to live. It's bleak. It is. Let's just call it what it is. It is tough. Cuffing season feels significantly harder as a single person who doesn't want to just go into a relationship just because of the time of year. That's not the type of girl I am, and I feel like a lot of my listeners are also aligned with me and feel that same exact way. We have this very uncomfortable pressure around us right now to be with somebody, to be dating somebody, specifically in the season. That feeling goes away once the season is over. It is so seasonal. It's so situational, and I don't love it. I never have. But on the flip side of this, why this episode is titled what it is, you want love, but you're scared of it, I want to also talk about the ways that I have felt myself wanting love, but I'm fearful of a lot of components of another person intertwining their life with me. I want to start off by saying I do want a relationship. I do want to get married. I have those goals in my life. I don't even want to say goals because that feels like I'm checking off a box. I'm a lover girl. I'm a romantic. I want and deserve a true and lasting love. And you do too, if you want it. Whoever's listening to this, and if you fit that same description, you are single and you have been yearning for a love that feels real and that feels genuine and that feels lasting, all right, you're in the right place because we're going to talk about that. But also, I'm specifically speaking to the girls who have ever felt very uncomfortable around the thought of being with somebody for a long time. I think about it and I'm hopeful, but I'm also terrified. I'm such an independent person and I always have been, and that will absolutely play into the topics we talk about in this episode. All right, so here's what I don't love about this season. It exacerbates the feeling of loneliness for single people. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I do not wish to have a partner, because I absolutely do want a partner, especially during this time frame. That would be nice. But I will also say in the same vein, no one has come along to even make it worth it. And I'm not going to forego my happy bubble of life for something that's not worth it. That's not my truth, and I hope that's not yours either. I do not recommend for anybody to get into a relationship out of fear of being lonely. That's not productive. Being in New York specifically, it's made me very jaded, transparently, and very discouraged to put myself out there, at least virtually. And I've spoken about this on episode 10, which is titled, Why Are You Single?, to highlight what I'm looking for and why I'd rather be single than be in the wrong relationship, because it's not worth it if it's not right. Okay, so I have 8 points that I want to chat with you guys about. I think these points are very directed to anybody who is experiencing that fear of wanting love but feeling afraid of it, feeling afraid of leaning in, and then also really navigating this very strange, uncomfortable season of cuffing season. Number 1, address your hyperindependence. You're listening to a girl who is textbook so independent. I am so hyper independent that it has definitely infiltrated a lot of my life. If I'm being so honest, a lot of it was negative. A lot of me not being able to relinquish control of a lot of things has left me feeling alone. But it's because I'm scared of letting someone else take the lead because I've been hurt before. That is the negative thought loop of being a hyper independent girl. But I want to pivot this conversation to being ready for a relationship and at the same time fearing it. This is a predicament that I'm in. I've been, quote, ready for a relationship for a year now and have worked so hard on myself to love who I am and to fill my life with everything that makes me happy, because that's step 1. Honestly, that is step 1. No one is going to come and fix you. Please do not ever think that someone will, because that's not accurate. And you should never rely on anyone to fix those parts of your life that only you can truly fix. No one will complete you. Everybody in your life, literally every single person in your life, is only a value add. Through this almost 5-year period of being intentionally single, I have picked myself up countless times from stress, from sadness. I've provided for myself. I've treated myself. So my hyper independence is at an all-time high. And the thought of someone coming in and breaking that bubble, that happy, safe bubble that I've created over years, is absolutely terrifying. It gave me full body chills just saying that. I am terrified. It scares me so much to think about a life where I am not fully in control, simply because I've spent so much time being in control to make sure my world kept spinning. But at my core, there is a thick ass shield that I have built to avoid heartbreak, to avoid being let down. But I've come to realize in order to get what I ultimately want, which is a partner, a true partner, a relationship that I'm very happy and in love to be in, I must be willing to take down those walls to let the right person in. Number 2, go to therapy. Therapy is, I've talked about this and I will continue to talk about how therapy very dramatically changed my life, improved my emotional intelligence, has actually made me an overall better person. Without therapy, I would not be this person right now talking with you guys, and that would be a shame. Therapy is for everybody, okay? A lot of people think that you literally need to go to therapy when something hits rock bottom and when you're at your lowest point. No, that's not true. I started therapy at 25 years old and I did it until 27. And then I moved to New York and then I did therapy for almost a year here in New York. After 3.5 years of therapy, cumulatively, my therapist assessed how my attachment style is due to how I was cared for as a child and growing up. You do not realize until you are an adult, I swear, you do not realize how the negative treatment as a kid bleeds into your adulthood. And it will not leave you until you address it head on. And that's what therapy is literally for. There were so many times where I broke down in tears, ugly, loud sobbing with my therapist in my sessions because she hit a nerve that has not been hit in over a decade. She got to the root of the problem. As hard and as uncomfortable as those sessions were, they really were. I left shaking. Felt like my body hit a factory reset. I felt like all the nerves in my body were on overdrive because I have not had to talk about things that have deeply hurt me to my core with anybody in so long. That is the beauty of therapy. It breaks you down to rebuild you stronger and more healthy. So essentially, I used therapy to unpack some of the more long-standing trauma associated with love, my attachment style, and the relationships that I've been in. And this is not only romantic, but familial friendship relationships, but specifically with my pattern with relationships, which I found that I have a pattern. And we all do. Let's be honest. We all have a certain pattern. And it takes someone else assessing it to really see it for ourselves because we are very blind to what we do, of course. But truthfully, I'm still actively working to undo those negative thought patterns by pouring into my self-love. Number 3, evaluate your dating habits. I have had a front row seat because it is my life, and I have really seen firsthand how I date. I'm extremely observant in so many ways, and especially with dating, I have seen my patterns. I see what I do. I don't just go on a date because I'm asked. First off, because I have standards, and you should too. I've said no to a handful of dates this year. I think I've said no to probably 5 dates this year, but I am also trying to, in the same stride, be more open-minded because I know that I have been extremely strict, like very, 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 very strict, like, okay, borderline, a little too strict. Fair. I can call that out within myself because I see it. And also I've seen through experience that what's on paper is absolutely not the whole person's story. And of course, duh. And this is why I hate dating apps, because we are all so jaded by what we see, because that's all we're going off of with these dating apps, which is why I hate them so much. I know for myself, I have some cute pictures and like some funny prompts, but like I am so much more than that goddamn app. I'm so much more than my profile. I have so much light and so much love and so much depth that you will never get on any app. Most guys don't even fucking try and don't even want to engage with you to even get there. Okay, you're missing out on something great, but I digress. I've dated a lot of guys who had a common theme of not being providers. So we are doing a hard pivot. It's important for me to really be honest with myself. There's things that I want in a person. So why am I continuously dating certain people who do not have what I want? So now, back to the common theme, not being providers, which is essentially not having a defined career and earnings to match. I need somebody who is ambitious, and I need somebody who essentially has their shit together. Obviously, that is a very vague statement. And here's the misunderstanding here. I don't think that there are guys listening to this podcast. I really don't. And I really hope that everyone who's listening is a true girl's girl. And even if you don't fully agree with this statement, that's okay. Because remember, we can all have our wants and we can all have traits and things in guys or in people that we want in a partner. No one can tell me I'm wrong, and I can't tell anyone else that they're wrong about what they want. Back to part number 1, it will help me understand that I don't have to be hyper independent all the time. I am in hyper independent mode all the time. When I'm not in control, my world falls apart. Things fall through, or I have an expectation and then I'm let down. I can't do it. I don't want to, and I don't have to. I can seek out the people who fit what I'm looking for to make my life better. That's the point of dating. Like I said, a value add. You are not just dating for shits and giggles. You want a partner in this life, right? You want somebody who will actually add value to your life, not take away or detract from you. I know that I can take care of myself. That is proven in the books, documented. We know that. No refuting that. But I am in no way wrong for wanting a man who has a defined career, who is financially doing well for himself and can provide for a family. There's nothing wrong with that. I have known for a long time the traits that I am looking for in a partner. So then it is up to me to forgo the temporary situations I find myself in with these guys who I've dated in my past. It is up to me. No one can tell me this. I need to tell myself this in order to make space for the type of guy I want. It's in my little vault, but I do have a very long list. I hand wrote an entire list of traits in my ideal guy. I have it, and maybe, just maybe, I will integrate it into a future episode. Who knows? The point being, I know this about myself, and I've known it for a while, so why am I going into situations, and rather, why am I continuously dating certain people that I know don't have what I want? That's unproductive. So let that be your sign. I don't do that anymore for the most part. This was definitely 2024 and in the past, but it's something that I'm being very, very strict on because it's what will benefit me, and that will also make my dating habits stronger, better, and my dating sphere more fruitful. That's the goal. So if you are in the same boat as me, here's my advice. I know this season can be so emotionally tough. Believe me, I know. Remember, I've spent almost 5 years single, intentionally, but the winter seasons, this season, cuffing season, can be tough. But please do not let your standards fall because you're lonely. It's 3 to 4 months of your life. It's not the end of the world if you don't spend the season with someone in your bed. Trust me. The world will keep on spinning. It will, I promise. Hot take, but I'd rather find someone outside of this time frame to truly know that our connection is standing on its true merit rather than having any inkling it may be a result of just wanting someone during cuffing season. That is my truth. It feels disingenuous. That's not the case overall. What if I find someone absolutely incredible in December? Who knows? I'm not writing that off, but I'm just saying this cuffing season, whole BS, it just really jades me from thinking that this season is a fruitful time to meet someone personally. But again, I could be proven wrong tomorrow. But just remember that you're a prize, not a to-do list. Number 4, avoid toxic past situationships. This story has been in the vault for almost 2 years now, and it is time to talk about it. I think we're going to do the streamlined version of it. He will definitely make his way into future episodes because there's so many parts to it. It's quite complex, but what I will say here is the story of how I dated a bartender in New York City. This was the first person I dated in New York City after moving here. I moved here in beginning of 2023, and I met him in July of 2023. So I was only here in New York for 4 months. We obviously met at the bar, but I will save you all of the fluff and we're just going to jump to the end because, like I said, he was toxic in the end and we're not going to romanticize him on this podcast. It took me a very long time to not only realize it, but to walk away from it. Things got bad with him. I was scared and I didn't know how to navigate it because part of me actually did love him. I will admit that. When you love someone, it's really hard to walk away. It's really easy for you to forgive negative behavior. I'll be honest, relapses did happen. After we ended things in 2023, a relapse happened in 2024 and I thought things were going to be better. I really did. And hey, maybe this is me being an optimist and wanting and wishing. I do wish the best for everybody and in every situation. I really do, which is why I gave him actually so many chances. But in 2024, I had to cut it off because he really pushed his luck with me. I was so forgiving for so many things, for him drinking too much, for him saying mean things about other people and me sometimes. Then he would turn around and love bomb me, quite literally love bomb me, send me a ton of cute messages and call me a bunch and leave voicemails and show up to my apartment. And it was so sporadic, it was so chaotic, and it was toxic. That is toxic. That is not the way to live, and that is not a healthy relationship in any respect. If someone respects you, they will show you, not tell you. And he was doing a lot of talking and not a lot of healthy action, which inevitably led to the end of that situationship. Let that be a very clear sign for you guys to avoid any and all toxicity when it comes to relationships. But I think specifically situationships is what we need to focus on because that's what I think about when I think about a cuffing season situation with somebody who you're involved with. Most times it ends up being a situationship. It is for a stint of time, say 3 to 4 months, and then they move on or you move on, but was it worth it? Hey, sometimes I can justify a few of them, a few actually really fruitful few months with guys that made me happy. And although we weren't meant to be together, the memories and the time that we spent were very fruitful and I don't regret it at all. But you know what I'm talking about. The ones that are not worth it and the ones that are actually a waste of time and also not good for you, please avoid them at all cost, especially this season. Number 5, hang out with other single friends. I think it is very important to have friends who are in the same stage of life that you are. It really is important. You have someone inevitable to bond over and you can pour into each other and your friendship rather than sulking about boys. There's so much more to us than boys. Most of my friends are single and it's actually been really comforting to hear their personal takes on this season, how they're navigating it, and for us all to help each other get through this season. Number 6, go on apps only if you are emotionally ready for it. Listen to me closely. Only if you are emotionally ready. You have to be honest with yourself on this one. It's not healthy. It is really not healthy to go onto the apps and mindlessly swipe, or even worse, desperately swipe. Do not be desperate. You are not desperate. You are better than that. I'm not ruling out that good can come from the apps because I actually know a lot of really good success stories. I do. But please try to not make it your whole world. Like I said, there's so much more than dating. Because when you make it your whole world, it can get very depressing and very frustrating very, very quickly. Number 7, future plan for after cuffing season. It's very important to make a list of places you want to go in your city, places you know that are social and have a good atmosphere for meeting people specifically. Bring back how we all met before we had the apps, because that is genuine and real, okay? You cannot convince me otherwise. Those are just fun ways to mingle with potential dates and not have the pressure of cuffing season, so you and them can take it at a more intentional speed. And number 8, spend more time on yourself. Self-care, self-love, and enriching your mind. And I know, I will be the first one to say, I know that this type of advice can sound very tired and sound very run-of-the-mill. But when it comes down to it, you are your biggest support system. When you feel super secure in yourself, you will be less and less sad during this period of the year. Wanting love is absolutely normal and encouraged. I think that's the misunderstanding here. People think that a high amount of self-love means you're not looking for a partner, which is absolutely untrue. Because I, like many of us, are romantics. We are lover girls, and we want to find someone who pairs well with us and we can truly lean into and trust. There's absolutely nothing wrong about that, but finding those gems are not easy. So instead of fearing this time frame of being potentially alone, embrace the fact that you are taking care of yourself. That love you so crave is out there and coming for you. I really hope this episode hit the way it needed to. I think it's really important to talk about the uncomfortable parts of life, and this is one of them. This is something that I have felt really uncomfortable about because I feel like I'm missing out. I always do feel like I'm missing out during this season, but then I remember everything I just said. What's meant for you will never miss you. Your perfect person and your ideal love is either you haven't met them yet or you have not been in the right mindset to receive them. It's one of those two things. So please keep that in mind as you go through this season. I know that social media can be tough around this time. So I highly urge you to pour into yourself and pour into the people who you trust, and you can navigate this time together. And you always have this podcast episode. Listen to this whenever you might feel down or might feel sad or lonely. Because no matter what, no matter who, what, when, where, why, I am here for you. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the podcast 5 stars on Apple and Spotify and follow it wherever you're listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Remember to leave a question or anything you want advice on in our jot form, also linked in the description. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at NK Madani, and I will talk to you guys in my next one.